Hana-han has a curse. Upon kissing someone, she will turn into a dog every night until she kisses the same person again. Easy enough, right? Well, it turns out to reverse the effects of the curse, she will need to kiss that same person again. As a dog. Except things get a little complicated when she kisses the wrong person. The person who hates her, Mr. Jin. And to compound onto that fact, Mr. Jin is deathly afraid of dogs and is petrified by the sight of the cute little things. Hana-han not only has the best luck, but it seems she may have the worst curse unless something changes. This is a good day to be a dog. Hello everyone, my name is Ben and welcome to another episode of Bento, where we are talking about the webtoon by Lee. This is a webtoon I picked up after casually browsing the app, and it caught my eye because I had recently got done watching the first season of the new Fruits Basket anime series, which I also did a weekly podcast for the last 6 months, link in the description. I saw that the main character, Hana-han, turned into a dog, and I just started reading it kinda based off of that alone. What stood out to me, though, from the first couple of episodes, I've read about 40 at the time of this recording, is that the main character, Hana-han, not only has a really fun name to say, but she's also a really likable character. Based on her design alone, you just want to root for her, which makes her the perfect kind of character for a story like this one. As you've already sorta guessed, this is a romance webtoon, meaning the same basic qualifications for a good romance kinda apply here. And that's the good thing about romance, because we could analyze a lot of these stories from medium to medium outside of maybe a couple, and really not have to change our mindsets on how we approach it. So with this being one of those stories, it's important to have characters that the people can relate to and like. This is where, oddly enough, a good day to be a dog excels at. While Hana-han turns into a dog and has a curse, something most people, I hope, can't relate to, even though you gotta admit turning into a cute dog would be nice every now and again, Hana-han is very much one of the most relatable characters in this webtoon. Hana-han is a school teacher, and she tries her best to teach her students. This is evident early on when we are introduced to another fellow teacher of hers in Song Kim, who is almost the complete opposite of Hana-han. Song often tries to find shortcuts in her work, doesn't pay attention to her students closely, probably doesn't even really try to connect with her students on anything more of a level than just showing up and being there. Hana-han does all of those things that Song doesn't want to do, and is more likely to answer phone calls from parents and students on the weekends, which Song doesn't even do. Hana-han is likable in that way because she comes off as a responsible adult who cares about her job, and that is being a teacher, but also goes above and beyond to make an impact on her students' lives. But what perfects this and really grounds her is that she may be responsible and she may do a lot of her. But what perfects this and really grounds her is that, yeah, she may be responsible and she may do a lot for her students, but she absolutely is not a perfect person. It's often said, a character's flaws are more important than a lot of other aspects of a character. Hana-han is an example of this, and her flaws shine through in the best of ways to make her more relatable. For example, Hana-han in the first chapter gets drunk and tries to kiss the person she has a crush on at her work, Bogum, at a party. Nothing wrong with having a fun time, of course, but going around kissing people, especially coworkers, isn't exactly a line that should be crossed too often, or in most circumstances. This is obviously something that comes back to bite Hana-han, as the person she kissed is a person who doesn't exactly like Hana-han, and that is Mr. Jin. And also her relationship, which develops with Mr. Jin, is another example. It shows that she doesn't particularly have self-esteem sometimes, as the whole Mr. Jin hating Hana-han thing turns out to be somewhat of a misunderstanding. And much like how Hana-han is extremely likable and wholesome, Mr. Jin is also a very likable main character. Mr. Jin is really the character this webtoon focuses on the most outside of Hana-han, and it shows. He's a character with a lot of depth, from his fear of dogs and why he hates them, to his past and why he treats Hana the way he does. He simply isn't just a cute boy for our main character to love. He feels more like a person with fears and qualities, which a lot would find relatable. And while I wouldn't say Hana-han's self-esteem issues are bad, Mr. Jin's are extremely noticeable and affect how he interacts with Hana Han. At some points, I thought that the twist for Mr. Jin's character would simply be that he doesn't like women, which goes to show how Lee Hae really wanted to portray Mr. Jin from the first handful of chapters. His self-esteem is that bad, which makes you feel for the poor guy. Mr. Jin, though, is great because of how well he works with Hana Han, though. It's very obvious these two characters have so much chemistry between the two. This is another important aspect to have in a romance, as you obviously want people to like the main couple of the series, of course, and for those two, I feel they do a fantastic job of giving the reader a reason to invest in these two characters as a potential couple. And it's not just the main characters that are really good here, either. The supporting cast can't be forgotten. An example of this is Hana's sister, who had the same thing happen to her, except she was in a serious relationship with a person, but she chose to reveal her secret to him, only to be rejected and dumped. So now she always tells her sister to never get connected to anything. She's sorta Hana's source of advice, and she plays that role perfectly. Mr. Jin's brother Yul is also one I quite enjoy as a supporting character in this webtoon. He basically looks like a younger Jin with red hair. But he's not really like Jin. His character has a pretty cool backstory as well that I'll leave you guys to unravel for yourselves. Otherwise, he's Hana's student who helps out Hana and is generally more like a good friend than just her student. Based off my first impressions of this webtoon, I'm really loving this story. Easily the selling point of this webtoon is the characters, primarily Hana Han and Mr. Jin, who are some really refreshing and likable characters. The art, as well, as you can tell, is pretty standard affair for webtoons, but that it really isn't a weakness to the series. The designs are unique enough to carry through, and all of these characters are just astonishingly gorgeous. The fact pretty much every one of them is single in this story is surprising. If you're asking for a recommendation, I would absolutely tell you to pick this up on the condition you like romance to begin with. Otherwise, for those watching now that don't like romance but are intrigued for one reason or another, the webtoon is a pretty solid romance, so if you're curious, give it a shot. I think with how the characters are written and how nicely this story flows, you'll have a great time reading this series. Not only that, but the series is also ongoing, meaning the series hasn't finished yet, so if you're into keeping it current, this is one I would love reading week to week when I could. The chapters are long enough to suit that kind of reading. Before we do the outro, I must say I am working on getting this channel to 1K subs, so if you want to see more webtoon content from me, definitely make sure to hit that subscribe button, because at 1K subs I'll be able to apply for monetization, and I can put a little bit more work into these webtoon videos, knowing that I'll have some support there. Also, when you hit the subscribe button, make sure to ring the bell, because if you don't ring the bell, chances are you're not going to get any notifications of when all of my webtoon videos are going to go up. So definitely make sure to ring the bell, select all notifications for this channel, and I appreciate everyone who watched this video. And make sure, if you haven't already, give this video a like, put in the comments below what you think about A Good Day to Be a Dog, and know that I have a Patreon, where on the $1 tier and above you can get access to everything on it. I'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.